All right, so I ran out the other day. I ran out of bell peppers, and I keep buckets of bell peppers fermented to use for various things. I mostly my wife and I just eat them as a relish, but I also use them to fill out, make up volume in hot sauces, and also to bring the heat down of hot sauces, because sometimes the habaneros and other things that I use are I like it really hot, but other people can't handle it, so I try to make something that's good for other people's palates. And so today I found a local discount market that had bell peppers on sale because they were kind of old and wrinkly, for 50 cents a piece. And so I cleaned them out. I bought 182 bell peppers, and it was a mixture of these yellows and then these oranges. And once it's all in there, I'll add 3 to 4% by weight of salt to it, and then I'll put on some rubber gloves and I'll squish and mash that until I get all the juices out and it's very juicy. I'm not going to add any water if I don't have to. I want to ferment this in its own juices, and if I squish it enough, it'll be like cabbage sauerkraut. It will yield enough liquid to submerge the solids in its own liquid, and then that's going to end up going into one of these buckets. So this is the bucket I emptied out the other day, and it's got a grommet for a vapor lock that goes in there, and the peppers will ultimately go into here and ferment in here. And now the next step is just to put them all through the processor. So now all those peppers so now these have all been chopped up, and it yielded a lot more than I thought it would. But it still has to be squeezed down. So now what I do is I just get in there and crush it all. I got to put on some gloves, and then I'll squish it and crush it like you would sauerkraut. And I also have to weigh it. So this turned out to be 11,613 grams. And so that's, multiply that by 0.03 and we get 348.39 grams of salt to use. And that's because I'm doing a 3%. And I actually goosed it a little bit, and I think I've got about 370 grams. And then over here with the orange bells, I ended up with 15,361 grams of orange bells, and that worked out to 460 grams of salt, and I goosed that up to almost 500 grams. So we've got maybe a 3.5, somewhere between 3 and 4% brine, or salt percent, which is good. I don't want it too salty, but I want it to be at least 3. So now I just kind of layer the salt in with the peppers, and then I put on the gloves and start squishing. Peppers have a lot of juice in them. So basically what I'm going to do is just squish them and push them and punch them until the solids are immersible under the juice of the peppers themselves. So you can see how I've been squeezing this for a while, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and now there's all this juice. You'll also notice that this was probably about like this full when we started, and now it's about half the volume. But there's a lot of, and I have not added any water to this. This is just the liquid from the peppers themselves. So now that will go on the stove, bring it to 180 degrees, and that'll pasteurize that. So here I have the mash There's the orange pepper mash, and there is the yellow bell pepper mash, and these were heated up to 180 and kept there for like 10 minutes. They probably actually hit 200. These bags here are they're actually paint thinner bags, and it turns out that they are food grade. I use them in beekeeping a lot for filtering honey, and I poured the mash into the bag in the bucket, and you'll see why in a minute. And then so now it's pasteurized, and it's had the overnight cooling inside of the bucket. The bucket was sanitized. I sanitized the bucket, sanitized this, sanitized the lid, sanitized the stirrer that I'm going to use, and then last night the hot stuff went into the bucket and was allowed, and then covered and allowed to cool. So now it's cooled off, and now I can introduce my culture. And what I use is this. It's kind of expensive. I think this bottle cost me $60, and that was a couple of years ago. I think this same bottle is now going for $100, but you don't use much. A bit of this stuff, because this is pretty powerful stuff. So I'm not even giving it a complete, rounded scoop. And there we go. So I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to take the thing. I'm going to kind of stir it in a little. And then this is going to get closed up. So now it's been, the probiotics been added, and I stirred it in, and then I tightened that, wound that up, tightened it up, tied it off, and pushed it down into the liquid. Same thing here with the other one. And then I'll just take my lid, and my lid goes on top, and take my vapor lock, and it goes into the hole, and we're ready. And that's pretty much it. And then this will be left probably at least a month before I even look at it. So there you have it. So it's been a month and a half since I started this ferment, and these are the orange bell peppers that I started then, and you can see there's been some calm that's developed on there, but the ferment's going really well. So that one's looking really good. The yellow bell peppers, they are also looking really good. There's more calm on them than there is on the orange, but they are also looking really good. And so I might skim this calm off, or actually probably today. It just doesn't even look like I need to bother with that. And I'm just going to close these right back up. This was just a little check into them, and I'm going to close them right back up and put them back and let them keep on going. So from here out, I can actually start, the way I use them is I would open the bag up, and I would just scoop out the peppers that I want to use, and then that would just go into a jar or into a mix. Might be added to habanero peppers that have been also fermenting. Might just We make like a relish. My wife and I like to eat with yogurt and stuff. And so this becomes an ingredient for other things. Sort of a basic ingredient for hot sauces and other stuff.